Hi, bud.
Jesus Christ. Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is the BREWDCAST. Due to technical difficulties and storming and whatnot, we were unable to record last week, and so we're doing, I don't know, crazy, random... We're going crazy today. I am Bud Robinson. This is Leon Robinson. I'm not saying the thing about pooping anybody's pants. And also...
It was Leon.
Say hi, Leon.
Hi, Leon.
Say hi, Leon, if you poop your pants.
Hi, Leon. Oh,
what?
Oops.
It's a Robinson family thing you wouldn't understand.
It's a family show.
Well, my child scared the other, it was that close to actually scaring the poop out of me today, so it could have happened. But it And also Town, who wants to air our dirty laundry, quite literally. He wants to tell everybody about our dirty laundry that has poop in it. Thanks, Lee.
This is
Thanks,
highbrow.
Town.
This is highbrow.
It
If you clicked on this and
is.
are watching this, it's fucking highbrow. Not even
Entertainment.
Let's be honest, if they
I-
clicked on...
40-year-old adult males making poop jokes.
Where's the wrestling? This is wrestling.
I mean, Vince McMahon is all about poop jokes. It's true.
He is a walking poop joke.
Oh, pooped as man.
Okay, so Town, you said that you have things.
There's
that
a
you wanna
ton of
talk
things
about.
we could talk about. One thing I want to talk about is that Vince is back, and he's got to have the names for people. So now Dominic Mysterio, every time they talk about him, is Dirty Dominic Mysterio.
It's not dirty,
And-
dum.
And at least he didn't reduce it down to Dom, which, from my understanding, is not the situation he's in the relationship with Rhea. I'm just pointing that out.
Dom's a sub.
Yep.
Okay, he's an idiot tonight, so be careful. That
Love
was
it.
pretty stupid. I hate that, and that's so cringe to me. Just listening to them, it's cringe. It's fucking cringe. It's so
Yeah,
Vince
so
McMahon. Gotta have alliteration, pal.
Mommy.
Gotta have alliteration.
But mommy,
That'd be like if Bastion Booger, they were like, it's smelly Bastion Booger.
belly,
Oh, I kind of like that.
belly bastion.
Smelly.
But they wouldn't mess with
Smelly
that.
belly.
is there a word for smelly that starts with B?
I'm looking on the Thesaurus website.
Oh, for fuck's sake, here we go.
I'm not going to. We'd be here a lot longer than me looking up shit
Because
on
that
Wikipedia.
would work better, would it not?
That's
It would
true.
be more alliterative.
That's true, but just like Vince McMahon having words to describe shit that's already going on.
Bariatric.
Very, very true. Very
What would
true.
Roman Reigns be?
Reigns.
Regal Roman Reigns?
He's a big boy, so he just gets one name. Big boys only get one name.
Dominic's not a big
Reigns.
boy. Yeah, that's fair. That's
Rollins. Smith.
fair. I hate it. I
Hey,
fucking hate
you
it.
know,
WWE is so fucking weird right now because it's like on the cusp of being good.
Mhm.
Like they're starting to book shit not stupid. The only issue I have with their booking now is Triple H's thought is we played hot potato with these belts for so long, so now we're gonna break every title reign.
Yeah.
They're gonna be super long, which is okay, whatever. Like Walter's awesome and his Intercontinental title reign is awesome. Roman Reigns is different. Did you know he's almost gonna catch fucking Bruno Sammartino?
I read that somewhere.
I don't think-
a couple
I
weeks
don't-
ago.
I don't
He's gotta
think
go-
he's losing it.
He's got to go years yet before he can touch Bruno.
Not Bruno's first reign. He's 443 days away or something. And I'm sitting there and I saw that and I was like, that's stupid. Then I'm like, they're probably going to break that.
Yeah,
Because I think-
I did say that in our chat. Like, Vince got it in his head that fucking his guy needs to break his daddy's guy's record, and here we are.
I don't know. That's the most they're so out of touch with the way they're booking him right now, and it's just
he like Vince, and I don't know, maybe Trips has this idea too, but like there are these guys that like hold these records, these completely, my opinion, completely meaningless records. Not Bruno Sammartino, but like you've decided that Roman Reigns is your guy. You're gonna let him hold the title for this long, and like you're not doing it. He's not doing it to like set the record. He's doing it 9 times out of 10 to like spite somebody. Like you are not going to convince me that he did not hand that title to Roman Reigns for as long as he did, at least at the beginning, to erase CM Punk from WWE. Because he was a big deal because he had that super long.
He had the modern record.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Like
I think that's part of it.
That thought was in his head. I am almost certain of that, and I think he does that a lot. Like he did it with Brock. Like Brock was the youngest champion.
I also think a lot of this is
and then that's why he did it. That's why they gave it to Randy after Brock walked out, just so he didn't have that record anymore.
I do think this is a spiteful title reign by Vince though, because he's pissed that we didn't do what he wanted us to do. He's pissed that we didn't say, "Oh my God, we love Roman Reigns," and make him like the next Hulk Hogan and buy his shit and cheer for him. Like we rejected it wholeheartedly, and this is kind of him saying, "Fuck you, here's what you get."
And in my head, I'm going, "That's really petty, though. Like, there's no way it's that." And then the rational part of my brain goes, "This is Vince."
And then you sit there and think about it for a moment,
like 2 seconds. So, like, it's Vince. Yeah. Like, this is Vince.
Yeah,
he's spiteful towards everybody.
I just wonder. I wonder. I watch WWE right now, and it reminds me of like 1996 WCW, where they have star power and they have the momentum, kind of, and they have all this shit going on, and they have the bigger stars, and they have like
beating something into the ground.
But at the same time, it's like you could sit there and you could look at 96. Maybe 97 WCW is even a better analogy because their business is better, things are going good, but like you can look at that product and you can see what's wrong with it, and it's very noticeable, just like it was in 97 WCW. You know, when you had like a Hogan Piper main event, and then it was just like the biggest piece of shit ever, and you could just see where they're not connecting the way they need to. And that's what they remind me of right now is WCW from 1997. Then I look at AEW and it's kind of like they have a better idea what they're doing. Sometimes I think guys get lost in the shuffle over there. But like product-wise and the way they run their championships and the way they do things, they have long reigns because they're doing something and they're meaningful. You know? Orange Cassidy has held his championship for not even a year. And he's defended that more than Roman Reigns has defended his championship.
Is that factual? I mean, it feels right.
No, 27. If not, it's super close. It's super fucking close. It's super because I was just reading that. Maybe no, I take that back. Okay, my bad. I apologize. Orange Cassidy has defended his championship in less than a year 27 times. And Roman Reigns in the course of, what are we on now? 5 years? 4 years? 3 years? What are we at?
Jeez. My head hurts.
Well, 1,000 days would be
3 years.
3
year and some change, yeah.
Yeah, okay. 29.
Jesus.
So you tell me who's doing it better.
Yeah.
You know, so it's just like, but
I don't even know. I mean, conversely, like, given the right circumstances, you could do that. And it would make sense. Like, you could do that with MJF, and it would make sense. People might not like it, but it would make sense, and I think MJF would
MJF is starting to wrestle a lot. And MJF is starting to become a staple of that show, which is making a huge difference.
Yes, absolutely.
Though I think he's going to be more focused on Dynamite now, though. But I would say no. I would say in this modern era, I don't think that works because I think as Leon, when you talk about MJF, your big thing always was, fuck him, he doesn't wrestle.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of the feeling. That's kind of the feeling that the mainstream has.
Though.
You know, yeah, and he's done a good job of it. So
I don't know if that's the mainstream feeling or if it's more like kind of the forgive the term, but it's more the smarky thing, or at least it was. But now that he has been,
okay, how about a more of a mark that likes the sports entertainment style?
sure, whatever makes you feel better about it.
You're just a little more in touch with that than we are. That's all I'm trying to say, and that was kind of your issue with it.
That's sure.
But that drove you nuts, as opposed for me, I didn't care, but I don't know if you did either. Yeah, you're kind of there.
MJF,
so, I mean, that was
for a long time was not
just
my deal.
To every other champion that they've had, it just that in AEW, that did bother me. But the way they've been doing it lately, I mean, they've been doing it much, much better, at least in my, silly eyes.
Well, they need them on TV, that's why. But I also think that you have spent more time watching Roman Reigns' title reign than me and Bud combined, because I've seen none of it. Well, that's not true. I've seen like 3 matches of it, Bud. You probably saw none of it.
I think probably I've seen a match or two because you kids.
Like, there's plenty of them plenty of his matches that I've watched where I'm just like, please, for the love of God, let this be the one. Much like I did at fucking Mania this year. Much like I did a whole bunch of fucking matches in his first year. I'm like, please, please, please.
I don't think that's happening anytime soon. I think he's going to break Bruno's record.
And it's kind of like the way I was watching one of Brock's reigns. It must have been around like 17 or 18, like when he was steamrolling everybody again. Like, I remember when he faced Joe for the title at a pay-per-view. I was like, fuck, they like the way they were booking it. The whole build up to it and everything.
I remember that.
I was like, fuck, they might actually put this on Joe, and I was hyped up for that main event because I was like, this would be really fucking cool to see Joe go over here, but no such luck.
When they were booking Lesnar's championship reign, it was the laziest booking I've ever seen in my life. Big strong man, crush things. That's all it was. Go out there and hit 5 finishers.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. It's one of those things, like, you read about his backstage attitude and everything. Like, when he likes the person or respects them, he'll actually put some things into it, and he can do a really fucking great match. Like that match that he had with Bryan Danielson, during that same reign, where the match started off with Daniel doing fucking hit and run shit with him and everything. I loved that match, and I thought, oh shit, we might actually get something here, but carpet pull again.
Brock's such an interesting guy, though, because sometimes I think he believes his own hype. But if I was a UFC heavyweight champion, I might also believe.
Yeah, seriously.
Might also believe my own hype too.
Yeah.
Which is just like the shit he did with Mox. Him and Mox could have had such a good Mania match, but it was such a stinker because he didn't want to put anything into it. Have you read
about the stuff on that? Because like Mox said, just kept bringing him all sorts of these crazy ass fucking garbage spots and everything.
I think part of that also is that Vince. I don't think Vince McMahon was behind Dean Ambrose as a character. I don't think he cared. I don't think he got it.
All he cared about in that was lunatic fringe. You're crazy, pal. You got to do something wild and wacky.
Eat a light bulb.
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, just like I haven't read his whole book, but I've read excerpts from it, and like, dude just seemed miserable there. The way they booked him and the way they tried to make him creatively, like he hated himself at that point. He was fucking miserable.
One thing that I want to talk about that I don't think we talk about enough is the comment sections of shit on like Facebook or Instagram. Because
this now, oh boy,
they are fucking glorious. Because I read one, somebody made a picture of the Shield doing the Shield pose, but they were all in their modern character, and like Roman had his belts, and Rollins had his new shitty belt, and then Moxley had his AEW belt. And immediately it was like, oh my god, Dean Ambrose is coming back to the WWE. He'll do so much better there, blah, blah, blah. And these fans are completely unaware. They have no fucking idea. And they're like using the term, they're just a WWE drone.
Hell.
It just boggles my mind when somebody's like, Well, he hates WWE. He doesn't want to go back. Like, he's making a lot of money in AEW, and he's doing a lot cooler stuff.
Just the sheer fact that he can go to Japan, go to New Japan and do crazy shit over there. The fact that he can go to GCW, any other indie shows, pretty much as long as Tony says it's okay. Like, there's no way in hell he's giving that up. Yeah, bud.
I just wanted to make sure that I remembered my thing. So, like, I had a similar response when CM Punk left. I had this, like, thing in my head, like, he's going to come back, he's going to come back, he's going to come back. And after a while, I realized
same.
As the time went on that he wasn't coming back, I was like, nobody's ever done this. Like, not even Bret Hart, who hated Vince, has done this. Like, Bret came back. Bruno came back after a very, very long time. But, like, we are so conditioned as WWE. Yes, and like we have been conditioned as like WWE fans that like, and they constantly do this. They're like, they make it such a huge deal when the guy comes back.
Never say never.
And never say never. Like, constantly they're saying that shit. Stone Cold. Like, Stone Cold is a perfect example. He was done. Like, he was going to walk into the sunset. We weren't going to hear from him again. And then he shows up for a match with Kevin Owens. Now, great match. Glad he came back. Glad he put a cap on his career, and I hope that's it. But, like, to see CM Punk walk away and still be happy, that's like, for me, that was a big turning point. I'm like, oh shit! Like, people don't have to go back to the E.
I think a really important thing here, though, is the E propaganda, because as I was reading this, and I'm just like in my mind, I'm like, what the fuck? How dumb can a person be? And then the person was like, well, he doesn't want to go back. He doesn't like it there. Well, but creatively, he couldn't be filled anywhere but in WWE. WWE is the most creative place in the world. And I'm just like, and then the person replies and it's just like, you know what? Never mind. That was it. That's all they said. And it's just like, yeah.
You just made a really good point, whether inadvertent or not, about the WWE propaganda thing.
Yeah, it's propaganda.
If we really want to dive into that, that's why Bret came back, because the fucking the Self-Destruction of Ultimate Warrior had come out, and they were working on
It's a very great DVD, by the way. I have it still. It's fantastic.
And that's the thing. They were working on a Bret set, and I guess basically had reached out and was like, I don't know if it was overtly said to him or just kind of implied, but look, you can come back and have a part of this, or you can choose to stay gone, and this is kind of what you'll get. And he pretty much decided that he had to, so he could avoid that kind of fucking burial.
It's interesting because their fans are like, they're not wrestling fans, and I think that's a really important piece of this equation. Is they are WWE fans. They are WWE fans. They don't understand wrestling outside of WWE. They don't get it. They get a very
all they see is through that lens, yeah.
And they get a very small piece of that because WWE shit is all the same. They have a style, the way they book the show, the way they have matches, and then if you have a match in the E where they go a little longer, they do something like a little crazy, and then fans are like, oh my god, did you see? It was the craziest thing I ever saw. And it was like, I just watched Dynamite. Every match on Dynamite beat that match by like 40. Like, it's not. It's just, and it's getting harder, and I think this is a huge problem. This is creating a lot of tribalism too. If you're an AEW fan, or if you're a wrestling fan but you watch AEW, and then you read something or you go into like a comment section like that, the WWE fans come across as so fucking up their own ass, so conceited, so better than you, so holier than thou. Then you're kind of like, you know what? Fuck you. This product's better because they actually know how to fucking wrestle. What you're watching is bullshit, and then that's creating more drama, and that's creating more tension, I think, between the two sides. Because you can watch it happen if you go in and watch a thing, just like the one that was shared in our chat, where somebody commented on it was like, "Oh, all the AEW matches suck." Have you ever watched? No, I would never watch that.
Well,
Man, how the fuck do you know? You know what I mean? So, and I feel like we sometimes sit here and it seems like we're so anti-WWE, and I don't think we are. I would love it if WWE was good. I would. I'd watch in a heartbeat. I grew up on it, but now it's just not.
Mhm.
It's not viable, and it's just that tribalism is killing it right now.
I think back to like when we watched wrestling and during the Attitude Era, I think the line between sports entertainment and wrestling was blurred by a lot because a lot of those guys who came into WWE had some time in the indies or they had experience with that sort of style of
But
wrestling.
do you know why? Do you know why?
Hmm.
Do you know why that is? Because Vince McMahon made all those fucking stars in the way he wanted to make them in the 80s, the Hogans, the Savages, the people like that, the Earthquake, the guys that fit his style. And then when those people fucking left, they didn't have anything left, so they had to grab a Stone Cold Steve Austin, the guy who could work,
Mhm.
a guy who understands the business. They had to grab him. They had to grab Mick Foley, another guy who could work. You had the Undertaker, who actually always could work. You had guys that were better workers necessarily than they were characters. Maybe not the Undertaker, that had to learn how to be characters.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
You throw the Rock in there. The Rock's just like he's like a blue chip recruit. Like the fucking guy can do anything he wants because he's just that fucking athletic. Then on top of that, he's got the gift of gab. So like you had these guys that were able to blur that line, just like you said.
Mhm.
And now it's.
But it's leaning like over the amount of time. I would say probably like 2000, 2001, somewhere in there. Like they started bringing in guys who were like, they're like homegrown. Like you see John Cena, you see Randy Orton. Like those guys grew up in that system. They were raised in that system. And
How do you
like,
feel about the homegrown? Because the homegrown initially was great. Because you can't deny John Cena, you can't deny Brock Lesnar, you can't deny Kurt Angle, you can't deny Randy Orton or Batista. But you have those five, and then every single guy that they pushed through that system, they tried to have them copy that. Every single guy that came out of that system from like 2004 until 2009 had tattoos and wore black trunks and looked like Randy Orton.
mm-hmm.
Every fucking guy. Nobody was any different.
Well, that's
killed the mid 2000s.
That's the other thing is like if you don't have these guys who are like smart enough to turn it on in their own way, like John Cena had his own way of like doing things, then you get Vince in your ear saying, "Well, just do this." You know, like Paul Burchill, I think, is a great example. Like he wanted to do like Pirates of the Caribbean or something, and Vince had never seen it, and he's just like, "Yeah, whatever, just go do it." But he didn't have the wherewithal to like go forward with that. And also Vince like did not get behind it at all. Yes.
Yeah, because Vince wanted him to fuck his sister.
That is that. There is that. Yeah. I mean, like that's like a huge thing is like you have these characters, you have these guys who show up, like you have a John Cena who A is very good and like gets the character work, and B, Vince gets behind. Like that B element is a huge part of it. Like you look at Lance Storm gets it. Like he gets wrestling. He's a great worker, or he was in that time, but Vince didn't like him, so he didn't get pushed. Like, and you have all of these instances just like that. RVD, perfect example as well. Like
I can't believe they fucked that up.
Booker T, yeah, Jesus Christ.
But Booker T was a WCW guy. You can't have a WCW guy do anything. Goldberg in his first run. You know, how many guys have we squandered? But they were more interested in the next big thing. Well, he looks like a star. He's got the perfect look. We care about the look. We care about the look. We can teach you the other shit. Then you have a charismaless black hole.
They care so much about that airport test.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they care about.
Mm-hmm.
That's all they care about.
He looks like a star walking through the airport, pal. The people turn their heads.
I'm just
the other thing. Go ahead, bud.
I'm just now remembering like the like how Rey Mysterio had to go through the airport with the mask on for that particular reason, because otherwise people wouldn't recognize who he is. Like he had to wear his mask everywhere. Like what the fuck? Anyway, go ahead.
I on that subject of WWE not doing a good job with things, the rumors are picking up again that the Elite might go. What do we think?
I heard the last thing I heard was like the Bucks were in the air and
Omega's following the Bucks.
Omega said something.
Yeah,
it
he's
was
going
like
wherever they're
in
at.
an after thing that like I'm gonna go wherever they go. I don't know if they just signed Kota Ibushi. Why would you go to be fair, I do not think he's going to the E. I would be shocked if any of them went to the E because I don't think they're going to be utilized in the way that they should be. But if you leave AEW, what do you do? Like, probably NJPW. I'm okay with that. If they wind up in the E, fuck. Like, that sucks ass.
I can't quite figure it out because they're
Like,
there's
what sort
there's
of
a-
gimmick do you think they would give those three if they went to the E?
they would bring them in as the Elite. That's what they would do because they're popular in AEW. They bring them in as the Elite, but they would not. It would be that classic. We're going to bring you in. We're going to push you. Da 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 da. But first, we're going to make an example out of you to show that we're better than you. You always like to do that. You have to do that. You have to make sure you bring a hot new guy in.
so we can build you up, pal.
Yeah, that's what they would do.
Gotta give you some embarrassing losses so you can create some drama, so you can have something to overcome.
That's a good
I just sit there and I think if you go, my first question is that going to hurt AEW? And my answer to that is I don't think it's going to hurt AEW because I think they're at a point where they have enough people that could step up. Because when they left and Punk left, was the best thing that ever happened to that company. Go ahead, bud.
So I'm going to go back to something that's going to sound like it's tangential, but it's not. Fuego del Sol, is that his name?
Yep.
Was just recently interviewed, and he was also very recently released. But he had some nice things to say about AEW, and in particular, he commented that what he thinks the situation is, because he's close to Punk. Like, Punk called him every day when he had his foot injury. He was close to the Bucks, and he was constantly getting phone calls with them. And, like, he was like, I don't think it's a situation where there's a lot of anger in the locker room between these two people. It's just a matter of some people, like, a lot of people are friends with the Elite, and so they sided with the Elite when Brawl Out happened. And there's people who are friends with CM Punk and they sided with CM Punk. It's not necessarily a situation where like these people are angry about that. And I think of that and I'm like, if you leave, like if the Elite leaves this company, what are those people going to do? Like, are they going to stick around? Are they the reason, like, is the Elite the reason that those guys are there? Or are they going to follow them out? Because the other part of that is, like, they are founding members. And Cody, you could say, is also in this category, but, like, they are founding members of AEW. Like, what is it? I think the bigger question is, like, what happens to the product once they leave? I don't know. Like,
I don't think the product changes because I think the product is what it is, and I think Dynamite has such an interesting product. I think Dynamite's the best show on TV.
Mm-hmm.
In my opinion, a lot of people would disagree with me. Right now, Collision's a show everybody likes because it has good wrestling and it has sports entertainment. So people are really liking Collision, which is great. I love it, but I prefer Dynamite. I know that sounds weird because people automatically would assume that I would like Collision, but I prefer Dynamite. Like, I like Dynamite. But I don't think it changes. I think you have the people in place, and I think realistically, who's going to go if they go? You know, Hangman's going to go, which I think that would be the biggest loss, in my opinion, long term. Like, Kenny Omega's a star. Kenny would go, Bucks, Hangman, they're gone. Okay. Vince McMahon and Triple H are not going to take Brandon Cutler. They're not going to take Nakazawa. He's not. There's no fucking way he's going to do it.
Yeah.
And then the other thing is Vince McMahon's not going to let them do their fucking YouTube show unless he runs it, because he's not going to let them have the autonomy that they currently have. There's no fucking way.
Whatever the fuck they want out there, yeah.
Yeah, there's no way. You can say whatever you want.
Xavier Woods.
He is up, down. But in order to be on that show, you have to sign a contract with WWE, and you can't work anywhere else, and they dictate what goes on that show. So that's almost a WWE produced show. if Kenny Omega goes up there, a guy like Seth Rollins is not gonna want him to do anything better than him, because Seth Rollins is that guy. Well, if you want to be in the big leagues, you got to come up here. That's Seth Rollins.
They also,
so I could just see him.
They also came up in the system like differently from like. They came up through the system differently in that they got big in NJPW. They got big on the indies. And I don't know that they care as much about WWE and like getting a WrestleMania match, because for Kenny Omega, at least, like a match in Wrestle Kingdom is just as good. I would imagine that a match on All Out or All In is going to be just as good. Like,
I'm going to disagree with you. And here's why I'm going to disagree with you, because those guys are kind of the same age as us.
They're wrestling fans.
They're kind of the same age as us. They might be a hair younger, but we're kind of in that same. We came up at that same time.
Mm-hmm. And if you ask, they're first things first. They're wrestling fans.
If you asked me, when I was even now, like if I was wrestling and it was like, we're gonna let you main event WrestleMania. Okay, let's fucking go. Like that, and that's just the way it works. I would see if you pick here, you get to pick Wrestle Kingdom or WrestleMania. Okay, well,
Kenny's already done Wrestle Kingdom how many times?
Yeah, and that's kind of the
how
thing.
many times.
We can knock WWE, and I fully understand what you're saying, and I fully get it. But I think the pinnacle still, and this might change. This could change. I'm not going to argue that it won't change. But if you ask any wrestler, like, what do you want to do? I want to main event WrestleMania.
Any wrestler?
So,
no. Lots of wrestlers? Yes, maybe. But that's broadly changing. Like, we have AEW has been around for what, 4 years, 5 years at this point.
They've done great, and they're part of what's changing that. But let me tell you what, in 1995, when wrestling sucked, and I was in WCW, if I had a chance to main event fucking WrestleMania, I'm telling Eric Bischoff to kiss my ass, and I'm going.
Okay, but in that scenario, you're comparing AEW to WCW, and WCW was like, they were trying to be WWE. They were trying. But
they were bigger. Point. They were the top company, and people still wanted to go to the.
Yeah, but like,
that's all I'm saying.
You're missing.
You can't downplay. You can't downplay how important WrestleMania.
I'm not saying that. What I'm saying is,
because I think that is
to many wrestlers
huge.
That doesn't matter, because they can have a bigger match, a better match in NJPW, in GCW even. Like, this is a stupid example, but it's the one that's in my head, so I'm going to share it. Like, if Nick Gage got a phone call from Vince McMahon and he said, "You're going to main event WrestleMania tomorrow, brother," he would probably say no, because he's like, "Are you going to let me do a death match?" No. Well, then fuck you. I'm not doing it. Extreme example.
I disagree. I think Nick Gage, I think he'd do it. I think he'd do it. I think he'd do it because he'd make more money in one night than he ever fucking made. That's an important piece of this, too. It's a lot of fucking money, and you can say, yes, they're artists, yes, there's other things that are more important. I completely agree with you. From like an actual standpoint of, if I had to pick a company to work at, it would be AEW any day of the fucking week. Because it's a better product, you have more freedom, you have more things, it's more creative. It's a better product, and I'm not going to argue that. But at the end of the day, like, Mania is the fucking Super Bowl of wrestling in the United States of America.
And I don't give a shit about the Super Bowl. This is my point, is like that not everybody gives a shit about the Super Bowl.
I think the percentage of workers that would take a Mania main event, though, is quite high.
I mean, it's substantial. I would agree with you there.
I just
don't think that Kenny Omega and the Bucks are a part of that.
At the same time, I agree with Bud, because, like, if we talk about, like you said, the elite and everything, guys our age-ish, yes, Mania is still the be-all, end-all, everything. But at the same time, you get guys who are like 10, 15 years younger, and they've been clawing their way through the indies and everything right now.
I'm curious to see in like
it's probably still the pinnacle and everything, but it's not the untouchable everything that it was to folks like us. Like, they're seeing, you get guys like Cardona and stuff like that going on.
Cardona had his WrestleMania moment. Cardona had it. Come on now. He won that belt. Vince was very proud of it. He took the belt off the next night. Two things to this before we move on. What the fuck was I going to say? I had a really good point. God damn it. I was a smart ass and I forgot it. Kenny Omega.
Yeah.
It's done pretty much everything.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
for sure.
Except WrestleMania.
Yeah.
And if we're looking at a full legacy, does he need that WrestleMania match? Do I think he needs a WrestleMania match to have a great legacy? Fuck no. But in his head, I could see him being like, I did it here, I did it here, I did it here, I need to go do it there. I think he's just going to follow the Bucks. I don't know. I don't see the Bucks going. Because I think they're better served. I know they're better served in AEW. They're going to do more in AEW. And they're going to do the shit that they want to do.
And I think if the Bucks,
the one guy in the Elite that I would say should go is Hangman, because he's the one I think that would have the most success in the E. I could see them doing the most with him because he's the youngest. He's got kind of the best look for the E type of thing. Like, I could think he would be the one. But I can't see fucking Hangman going there either.
I also think that, like, the four men that you're talking about, I think, have more respect for the sport and more... they have a different view of what the sport should be than WWE does. And I think
I fully agree.
Cody was naive enough to think that he could go to WWE and try and change things. And maybe he's changing things.
I can't fucking stand Cody.
But,
I can't fucking stand Cody.
You look at, like, Kenny Omega.
I want him to stop talking.
And Kenny Omega, he's all over the fucking place. You can't stop him. Kenny Omega and
he needs
the Bucks,
to shut the fuck up.
And, like, Hangman, even. I look at those guys and I think, if they want to make some change, go to NJPW.
Here's the thing, bud. I agree with you. I do. I wholeheartedly agree with you. I want to bitch about Cody, though.
Yeah, let's bitch about Cody. Let's do it.
Because Cody is so fucking cringe. I cannot fucking stand him. Every time he talks, I'm just like, shut up. What the? He's a mark for himself. He just he believes his own hype, and it's so just like disheartening. Like, I don't want to see him win the championship. I hope he doesn't now, because it's like, fuck you, dude. Shut up.
You're annoying. You do not deserve the title.
I knew AEW was going to be fine without me. And I helped them get where they needed to get, and then I knew it was time for me to do something. Who the fuck are you? You didn't do anything there. You did nothing. Oh.
What? It was the TNT Championship.
I had nothing bad to say about Tony Khan. We had great talks. He was going to pay me a lot of money. I love AEW, and they were going to have me wrestle Sting, and Sting's my idol, but I had the chance to work under my idol as the head booker in WWE. I'm like, wait a minute, motherfucker. Triple H is your fucking idol? Then why did you smash his throne with a sledgehammer? What the fuck are you talking about? So
I saw a quote, something, he can't and won't tell them why he left, but he'll say that it was a personal issue. It wasn't money, it wasn't anything like that. It was some sort of personal issue.
So left AEW?
Yeah. It was a quote from that that documentary of his that just dropped.
I've heard.
Do you know?
Yeah.
I've heard. Do you know what?
I can't and won't tell you why, but it was a personal issue.
One of the most cringe
money and all
early days. The early days of AEW, the most cringe fucking shit was his wife. They put her on TV every week, and they constantly tried to find shit for her to do, and everything she did sucked, and it was fucking cringe. And he didn't get over as a babyface, and people got tired of him because his shit was just... He was like the one guy that stuck out in that company as being something totally different, because he was like a WWE guy, and people didn't fucking want that, and it didn't work, and he didn't see that. And then these guys come in like fucking... Malachi Black comes in and fucking beats the shit out of him, gets a huge pop, and then he manages to persevere and beat him in like the most John Cena-esque feud ever. And the crowd turns on you. Yeah, because it sucked. Because nobody wanted to fucking see it. You just don't get it.
Was that the biggest John Cena one, or was it the fucking was it the Brody Lee feud where he came in and just absolutely murdered him, and then Cody comes back and overcomes?
That one was bad. What about the Anthony Ogogo?
Was even worse.
Anthony Ogogo feud. Why?
Oh God.
Take a guy who's not a star. I can make him a star, and I know like this guy's got a fucking ego issue, and I'm sorry, and I get it. He's fucking Cody Rhodes, and his dad was Dusty Rhodes, but come on, man, what the fuck? That was bad.
I mean,
that feud was bad. Nothing about that was good.
I'm gonna make him a star, Daddy.
Conversely, you look at Dustin Rhodes, and like Dusty Rhodes was his dad too, and like I think he's giving back way more to the business than Cody Rhodes.
He's also older, which might make a difference. But
fair. That's a very fair point. Like,
I'm not. I was all for Cody Rhodes winning that belt from Roman, and right now I'm just like, fuck this shit. I don't want him to do it. I'm so tired of him. I don't want to hear about him. I don't want to watch him on TV. Like, I won't turn the TV on if he's on, because it's just like, I'm done with you. You're annoying. You're a fucking liar, and you're like, he's trying to play both sides of the fence. He's trying to like say, oh, AEW is great, but then he's trying to say WWE is great, and it's like he's not really, he's not genuine, he's fake. Everything he does is fake. And everything that he wants to do is about him and his fucking ego. I've spoken my mind.
It's his story.
I don't care.
I
don't fucking care.
Town, his story's not finished yet.
Hey, he just talked about his fucking documentary too, and he's like, it's just disappointing that I lost and I let everyone down. That's the only problem I have with the documentary. I can't believe I lost WrestleMania 39. It's a fucking work. Oh my God, it's a fucking work, dude. We all know it's a fucking work. God.
Wait a minute.
Shut up.
In the fucking documentary?
He kayfabed in an interview talking about the documentary that talks about how it was kayfabe. I can't even. I'm just sitting there like, oh my God, dude, just fuck off. Please fuck off. Can't fucking stand Cody. He's wearing on me, and I don't know why. It's just like he went to that company, and now he's just another WWE stooge. Like fucking Seth Rollins. I don't like Seth Rollins. Great worker. Does great shit. His character's stupid, and he wears red boots. I don't give a fuck. And it's just like when he talks, well, if you're up here, it's the big leagues. If you can't handle here, then you can't handle the big. It's like, dude, fuck you. Fuck your bullshit. Triple H likes you, so you got to push. How many guys were better than you that didn't get a push because he didn't like them? Like, seriously. It's just like, come on. They downplay AEW so much, and they act like they're not fucking competition, but they're afraid of them at the same time. And they just knock it. Well, you can't have blood and guts on TV. You can't have blood on TV. Da-da-da-da-da. It's like, yeah, well, it's fucking wrestling, dude. And then it's like, Triple H, you love blood because you bled all the time in the 2000s. You bled every fucking match. Did he not? He bled all the fucking time, especially when he had his beard shaved and he looked really weird. You know exactly what I'm talking about, where he wore the purple trunks and the white boots. Fucking bled every fucking match. Every fucking match he bled. And he's like a fan of like late 80s wrestling. Well, fucking Ric Flair bled all the time. That's all he did was fucking bleed. He loved the Crockett promotions. He just bled all the time. Dusty Rhodes got his head stabbed with a fucking spike. And you're sitting here like, we can't have blood. That's inappropriate. We can't have blood on TV. That's just not appropriate. Oh, fuck you. Maybe Moxley goes a little overboard sometimes, but fuck it, it's fun.
It's a day that ends in Y. Moxley's bleeding.
He's fucking bleeding.
Did you guys see that one? It was like a couple weeks back. Renee posted a picture of John after he had won that grappling tournament he did. And then it was, Janela commented, did he bleed? And fucking Renee just responded, Joey, with a bunch of dots after it.
It's true, though. He does like to bleed.
Not a wrong question, because motherfucker bleeds all the time. Like, he's like Abdullah at this point. Like, you breathe on his forehead, and you're gonna fucking get some blood.
Oh, dear.
And WWE fans hate him. And I think they hate him for a twofold reason. They hate him because his style's so different from what the WWE does. And that's my other favorite thing to read about John Moxley when an E-fan talks about him. Like, he used to be such a great wrestler and he used to do such amazing things. Then he went to AEW and now he just bleeds all the time. He came from fucking CCW death matches, you fucking moron. Like, that's how he started. This is not different. The different part of John Moxley's career was the fucking E. And he was miserable, and you could tell looking at the poor man. So I don't know. That's just bothering me this week. And fucking Cody needs to shut up because he's just he talks too much.
Shut up, Cody.
Yeah, Cody.
Shut up, Cody.
We know that you're watching. Shut up about it. We don't care about you.
No one gives a fuck. That's what he's doing though. Like he legitimately had people behind him. People were legitimately interested, and those E fans are so fucking dumb. They didn't realize how shitty he was in AEW, and then they were like, "Oh my god, it's Cody Rhodes! It's so amazing!" Da 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 da. We're winning the war because we stole Cody. You stole the guy from AEW, a company that is in competition according to you, and he's doing the exact same character with the same theme, same entrance that he did in AEW. So you're booking an AEW guy to be. The irony is just fucking. I'm not deep in it right now because it's just everywhere. But I mean, it's just like, come on, the fuck.
Yeah.
And he just keeps talking, and it's just like, shut up, just fucking shut up, go away, go do something else. Don't do fucking 6 interviews a week and say stupid shit all the time. Fucking
because if you talk so much, I mean, there's a point of diminishing returns. Eventually, all you're saying is stupid shit.
That's all he says. That's all he fucking does. It doesn't have any meaning. He talks about AEW. Oh, yeah. And it's like every time he tells a story, it's different. It's like, who the fuck are you, Hulk Hogan? What is going on? Like, are you pulling the Hogan shit? Andre the Giant was 8'4" and 7,008 pounds, and I body slammed him in front of 6 million people on Detroit. It's just like, wait, Hulk, what the fuck are you talking about?
Now I'm remembering MJF. Remember when I body slammed Big Bill?
But see, that right there is another piece of Dynamite that I love, because I watch Dynamite and I know they're having fun, and it reminds me of the shit we used to do in the backyard.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Because
that stupid shit, it's just like, it's so, you can tell they're fans.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at a guy like, I don't know, in the E, somebody in the E that's not a true wrestling fan, like Braun Strowman, and it's like, yeah, he doesn't give a shit about this business. He just wants to make money. But then you look over there and it's like, here's your world champion, like, just being a total fucking mark for a body slam. It's fucking great. It's fucking great.
It is.
That's why I enjoyed Dynamite.
Or a double clothesline, for example.
Same thing.
Like, it's amazing. He fucking beats Darby Allin with a headlock takeover. Like,
it's great.
He gets it. Like, and
people they shit on Tony Khan so bad. They say he's such a fucking idiot, and he can't do this, and he doesn't do anything. He doesn't understand professional wrestling. And then I watch his show. I'm like, I think he does.
But
because, like,
sorry, continue.
He's not perfect. That's not what I'm saying.
Like, yes, of course not. The big difference between Vince McMahon and Tony Khan is that Vince McMahon will sit there and tell you what his vision is, and then tell you why it's the best vision possible. No matter what the fans say, no matter what other people say, doesn't matter. Vince McMahon runs the company. This is his vision. He thinks it's perfect. 9 times out of 10, it's not, but he wants to do it anyway. You look at Tony Khan, and he has a vision, but then he talks to other people because he doesn't understand CM Punk's shit in the same way that CM Punk does. He doesn't understand Ricky Starks' shit like the same way. So he brings people in. I think this is one of his most brilliant moves, making the Bucks and Omega and even Cody EVPs on his company, because like you look at those, you can look back at those guys who have been in the business, who understand the business, and say, look, is what I'm doing okay? Like, does this make sense? And he doesn't even stop, like, he doesn't stop at like the Bucks, because if you look at like WCW, they did a lot of the same stuff, but then Eric Bischoff is just listening to Hogan. He's just listening to Nash. Like, and then you're losing
Jim
guys
Cornette
like
would disagree with
Raven you. Or, you know, like but like he's talking to probably not everybody, but like he has his ear to a lot of people in the locker room.
I think he listens to people about their characters.
Yeah.
I think so. I mean, the way that he's booked Orange Cassidy's championship run is astounding.
Mm-hmm.
That's probably one of the best. That might be the best thing that they've done this year. I mean, maybe MJF Adam Cole is really fucking great too, though. But like Orange Cassidy's title reign has been consistently really fucking good. They know what they're doing there, and they have a feeling for what their fans want,
and they listen to it.
And their wrestlers are fans, I think the big issue, like one of the biggest issues, is that like Vince McMahon's right hand man is Bruce Pritchard, and he was in like 1990, and like 1987 he was. Yeah, so like he's been there for that long, and Bruce Pritchard.
Yeah,
I don't dislike Bruce Pritchard. I think he's an interesting guy, and I think he's got he understands the business, but he understands the business in like 1990. Because in 93, when the business took a shit, he was part of that. And they didn't really recover from that so well until Steve Austin showed up. And I don't think he understood Steve Austin at all. And those guys are all... That's another interesting thing to think about is they hate Vince Russo. Okay? And Vince Russo as head booker, not good. Not good. And I'm not going to claim that it is, but like the late 90s WWF was a lot of Vince Russo, and some of Vince Russo's ideas were pretty good. Granted, you need somebody to kind of rein them in, which Vince was able to do, and Vince made good calls.
You need somebody to filter his shit.
Yeah, and then that was what Vince was able to do. But I think Vince Russo doesn't get enough credit for that because he was the one that he took the ball away from Jim Cornette, and he took the ball away from Bruce Pritchard and all those old guys that had this idea like, well, we're going to fix the business. We'll just go back. We just got to find our next Hulk Hogan. We got to find our next Hulk Hogan. Well, it's 1997. We probably don't need our next Hulk Hogan because like that shit doesn't work anymore. But they're still stuck in that. They're still stuck in that mind frame of we got to have. Well, it worked in '88, pal. That's 40 fucking years ago.
They need their main product. Right now, it's Roman Reigns.
It sold out the Omni, pal.
And like.
Yeah, but he's been knocked down for 26 years.
That is a thing that I was thinking about while binge watching 5 hours of wrestling today. I wonder how much focus AEW puts on who is face and who is heel. Because I look at like even Mox, like Mox does some really heel shit. But he still gets like 50%, maybe not 50%. Like he gets cheers and he gets boos. Like how many matches have y'all watched where it's like the crowd is half chanting for this guy, half chanting for the other guy?
I think there's so many shades of gray in that company. I think they do a really good job. There's some people that are very clearly on one side or the other. Like MJF, but even though he gets cheered, but like he's clearly designed to be a heel. You know, the Elite right now, they're kind of faces, but they do some heelish shit. And like Blackpool Combat Club is interesting as hell because they were supposed to be the heels, but everybody fucking loves them because they're impossible not to love. Like Miro, they initially brought him back. I think they were trying to make him a heel, but the crowd cheered him. Malachi, but Malachi can get some boos. Like when he fights, when they fought the Acclaimed, he got some boos. Yeah, it's very shades of gray, and it kind of depends on who you're fighting. And they're not. They're focused on the crowd reaction, but I don't think they're as focused as on like manipulating that crowd reaction.
And I also like. I'm now remembering the thing that you sent Town about the t-shirt numbers. Like you look at that list and it's not one guy. It's like a whole bunch of guys. The Elite, Orange Cassidy, I think Moxley was on there. Sting, like Retro Sting was on that fucking list. Yeah. WWE's list, I would bet, I'm not certain on this, probably has like the top 10 t-shirt sellers, and this is by design. It's probably like 3 people, 4 people maybe. Like because they don't want a wide swath. And I think this is really like detrimental. They don't have a bunch of people who are really over like AEW has. They have one guy that they get behind, and if anybody else gets over, you have to shut them down.
I think it's
feed them to the one guy.
Yes, exactly.
I think it's also about because they're trying to sell shit, and that's always been their plan. Is we have a wrestling show, we want to sell you an action figure and a T-shirt and a foam finger. Okay, if you go back and you listen to Mick Foley talk about the time they were going to make they were in like New England or something, and they're in the locker room and they're going around talking about the marketing people. Okay, and they come up to Mick and they're like, "Hey, we want to make a Mankind mask for the kids?" And Mick's like, "No, you can't do that. Because the mask is supposed to be scary. You can't. If you want to make a shirt But like they listened to him, they completely didn't get it. So they're like, okay, we'll make a shirt. And then Steve Austin comes over and goes, hey, you should make me a Stone Cold shirt. The guy kind of goes, I'll get back to you. He goes over to Mark Henry and they just start checking fucking boxes. They're going to make like 3 Mark Henry shirts. They're going to make action figures. They're going to make like fucking sweatshirts. They're going to make posters. They're doing all this shit for Mark Henry because he just spent all this money on him. So they're trying to get behind him. And I don't know if you guys remember when they did that, because I do. I remember that very well.
Mm-hmm.
They made a huge deal about him, and he came in, and it was like,
it's kind of
he sucks.
Yeah.
So they had this whole list of shit for Mark Henry. Then the guy finally goes to Steve Austin and says, dude, you know, maybe down the road we can get you a shirt, but you're just not that marketable.
I remember this. And then like, you know, 6 months.
Mick told that story in his first book.
Yeah, and then 6 months later, it's like Austin 316 shirts are outselling everything everywhere.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone had one, and they were the best shirt ever. Like, just like, holy fuck. That's the E, though. They don't want to get behind you. They're not going to get behind you. They're not going to do that shit. Mm-hmm. You know?
The only reason they got behind them was they had no choice.
Mm-hmm.
Well, they had to, because the crowd just, they demanded it, and they were getting their ass kicked. I think that's an important piece of that, too, because I think if WCW wasn't there, I don't think Steve Austin ever happens. I don't think the Attitude Era ever happens, because I think Vince McMahon would have been fine running that company the way he was running it, because he didn't care. Because if he had no competition and no threat, and he could just quietly take his piece of the pie, I think they would have been just fine doing that. But that just... Yeah, and I look at that, and then I go and I bought that WWE Winged Eagle belt, which is awesome. I love that belt. I bought that back like Mania because it was on sale. So I looked at their shop.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I fucking haven't looked at their shop in fucking years. Like I haven't done it. So I'm looking at their shop, and it's like, okay, well, if I want to find something for Roman Reigns, there's like 500 things. You know, if you want to get a shirt for like somebody else, there's like you might have 1 or 2 options. It's just the way they market it, the way they pitch it. Then you go over to like AEW shop, and it's like there's like 15 Orange Cassidy shirts I can buy, and I have a few of them. They're great. And then I look over at like Cody Rhodes, and there was like a shitload of Cody Rhodes shirts, and there's a shitload of MJF shirts. They like have more stuff. These guys are allowed to make this shit. They're allowed to push those shirts. And it's not the same machine that's behind it, you know. Because you could probably go buy a Sheeta shirt right now, and if she was in WWE, they wouldn't even acknowledge her. They just have her show up and wrestle, and that'd be that.
Yeah.
So I look at that. And it's such a big.
And let's be clear, she'd be wrestling on whatever the fuck their B or C show is right now.
Yeah,
she wouldn't be on TV unless it was to come out and make one of the, make Charlotte look good,
or to fight Asuka.
I wonder what women from AEW would actually get a fair shake in WWE. Britt Baker would.
I mean, how many of them have we already seen? What would happen in WWE?
Like they'd fuck over. Like Tony Storm wouldn't make it. Jamie Hayter wouldn't make it. Ruby did not. Paige, kind of, but.
And a Jay,
well,
maybe.
Paige wouldn't have got hurt.
They love WWE loves Britt Baker. They absolutely want to sign Britt Baker. Like they have made outward calls to her already. She can talk. She can work. Is she the best worker? Mm-hmm. No, I'm not going to say that.
But that's the thing. That doesn't fucking matter there.
She can work.
That's
she can talk. She can sell shit. And that's what they want.
All you got to do is put her in the PC so that she gets the WWE style. And then go make us money. Like,
go lose to Charlotte.
Yeah, pretty much. Oh, good lord!
I remember reading that where they talked to Tony Schiavone and like somebody over there was talking to Tony and they're like, "Hey, can you get us in contact with Britt Baker? We're really interested in her." And Tony's like, "You stay the fuck away from her. You ever want to talk to her?"
I love Tony. Fucking love Tony.
Yeah.
I feel bad for Tony because Tony gets shit on so bad for the dying days of WCW. But, like, what the fuck was he supposed to do? Like, he's getting fed lines he has to say, and he comes off looking like an idiot. But he's actually
You can polish a turd all day and it's still a turd.
Yeah.
He's a smart guy. I think he's been huge for AEW. I think he's been more important for them than Jim Ross. Jim Ross has not been real.
No, he's past it, which is
Yeah.
sad to say, but he's.
It's time for him to. Time for him to I remember those early days of Dynamite when he was calling it, and he was just a step behind. And like Excalibur and Taz are fucking amazing, and Tony's fucking amazing.
I think
Bud's got a thought.
I want to disagree with you really badly because I think Jim Ross was an amazing get, especially he had spent 2 years away from the 3 years at that point. I don't remember.
He'd been gone for a minute,
but he had been done, like he had been doing NJPW. He had been doing I want to say GCW, but it wasn't that. Like he was doing another show, and I think that he still has it, but like. If he had been on the call like by himself in AEW, you'd be able to tell. But I think that he's able, like he's professional enough and like gets the business enough that he is able to lean on Tony Schiavone when he doesn't have the right words or, whatever. Like, and I think that's like he's taking time off right now and I don't remember why. But that's because he understands that like, he's not going to give people the best product on his own.
Yeah.
Like, so he's taking time away.
I think with him, it's really becoming very clear that his best days are behind him.
Mm-hmm.
And I think he's lost a step. And I love Jim, and I think Jim probably is. I don't know what a better announcer in professional wrestling. He's that fucking good.
Mm-hmm.
But like at this point, it's just kind of like okay, he doesn't have the right flow, and he just I don't think he gets the product. I think there's moments where he very clearly does not get the AEW product.
I don't know. I get the exact opposite vibe, actually. I often like hear him say something and I'm like, holy shit. He like, and I think maybe that's like more him understanding wrestling as opposed to understanding the product. And I think that he leans on that more, which is and maybe this is why I think he was a good get, is that like, he leans on
I don't think he was a bad get. I don't think he was a bad get.
Right.
I'm not saying that.
I think he leans more on the wrestling part of it than he does on the character stuff or like what's mainstream. Like, and he also doesn't mind looking foolish on TV. Like he'll call it out. And I'm okay with that. Like that's cool.
I just think the way that he calls matches is not as good as it was.
Yeah.
I think he's losing a step there.
Maybe.
I think a lot of times he sees shit on that show and doesn't understand why they're doing what they're doing. Because he's actually publicly said that. Where he's been like, I don't know why we're doing this. Like, he doesn't get parts of the product. And I think that's hard. That's got to be hard for a guy that's 70 that did so fucking much.
Mm-hmm.
The matches that man called in his life. The shit he was a part of. Like 90...
The moments that he's made better.
91, 92, 93... WCW with Big Van Vader being the world champion and having those crazy ass matches he had, and fucking he's calling those. Then he goes to the E and like calls like WrestleMania 10 and shit, and then like he gets
bullshit. Like
he's just done so much.
That's true.
The Attitude Era, like all the shit he saw in the Attitude Era, and the business. I think the business has changed, and I think that's hard. I think that's Jim Cornette's problem. Is Jim Cornette cannot change with the times. He's an old bitter guy who's like the loud one screaming at the sun, like, fuck you can't do it. I have to do what I say. Yeah. It's like, okay, Jim, come inside, have some fucking soup and take a nap. But that's kind of the vibe I get sometimes with Jim Ross. Is he's 70, he's done so much. Yeah. He doesn't need to do anymore. And if he wants to come in and he can add to it, great. Like I enjoyed him on Collision the one night. Though I thought that Collision broadcast team with him is a really weird trio.
Yeah. And
I struggled with that a little bit. I don't know.
Well, that was you're talking about the first Collision, right?
Yeah.
Like that team, that commentary team was raw on that night. And I think that had more to do with the fact that they didn't understand the flow of the product yet. Or the flow of the show, especially since it's different from Dynamite.
Yeah.
I'm intrigued. I wonder why they're still using Ian Riccaboni there as opposed to Kevin Kelly? Like, have they completely moved away from? Like, do you all know if they've completely moved on from Kevin Kelly, or if they?
I know they gave Ian Riccaboni a big contract because they really liked him. So,
But I also heard that Kevin Kelly was a big reason why he was on the show.
I don't think Kevin Kelly wanted to do it.
I would
think Kevin Kelly does. He does
New Japan.
Yeah, so he does New Japan, and I think he wants to focus more on that and not this.
Yeah.
So,
speaking of the Collision announce team, just the last couple weeks watching it, like I feel like I'm not saying they're bad, like they're good at what they do. It just I find myself almost not even hearing those guys when they're talking, especially like when matches are going on. I don't know. I'm not really sure how to articulate it better than that. Like, but they get really easy to tune out, and I'm not trying to do it. It just happens.
I will agree with Leon on that one. I will agree with Leon. The way they announce Dynamite, those guys are helping. They're like navigating you through the show, and they're entertaining, and they're telling you things, and they're giving you information. And I hear those two on Collision, and it's a different style of broadcasting.
Yeah,
because they're more.
It reminds me a lot of like Ring of Honor.
Go ahead, bud.
Like the announcing in Ring of Honor is very similar to that. It's very technical and very like we want to inform the fans. We don't want to be the people who you're paying attention to when the match is happening. And I think that's not to say that like Taz is sitting up there like, listen to me, who gives a shit about this wrestling? No, of course not. But like I think
love Taz.
They have characters and they play their characters. Ian Riccaboni and Nigel McGuinness, to some extent, like their characters are more low key.
Yeah.
Oh, Nigel's full on a fucking heel commentator.
Yes, he is.
The only piece about that I like, and we've said this before, it's different. It's not the same as Dynamite.
Mm-hmm.
If you gave me the same thing on Dynamite, I wouldn't be happy. So it's different. So I'm okay with it. And I think that it feels like two different companies.
It's funny that you say that because that's exactly what WWE did when they started SmackDown as a new brand. Was like they put Jim Ross on both shows. They put Jerry Lawler on both shows. Like, this is not a different show. This is the same show with slightly different talent, and not even then. Because whatever. Anyway, now I'm the old man yelling at a cloud.
So it's I would agree with you, though, Leon. I feel the same way about that. They're very different announcing style.
It's like I'm not trying to be critical of it. It was just something that I noticed. Like, fuck, I'm getting lost in the matches and enjoying that part, and like completely almost not hearing them, which it was a little jarring to me. Felt really fucking weird, and it wasn't just this past week. It's been the past several shows.
Mm-hmm.
But I have a question for you. Do you prefer Taz and Excalibur, or Riccaboni and the other guy whose name I just forgot, even though I know it?
Nigel McGuinness. Taz and Excalibur. Like, even if it was just those two.
Yeah.
Tony Schiavone adds like a perfect
I love Tony.
Third man, wingman, like he's not always in on the shit that Taz and X are going through, but like when he is, it's like it adds to it. Like, it's fucking ridiculous.
I remember this, like when they started Dark and they had Taz and Excalibur on there, and you'd watch that and you just listen to them and you're like, this is fucking hilarious.
Did I say?
And at some point, Tony Khan's like, yeah, we probably should just put these guys on Dynamite and say fuck it because they're so much better. I enjoy those two. Those two are fabulous.
Have amazing chemistry.
But I don't dislike the guys on Collision.
Yeah,
it's just different. I think
I don't like them. It's
weird.
Really, really.
We've also been conditioned to have Vince McMahon is a certain style of commentary that he has liked forever, where the commentators have to do things a certain way, and it's they have to talk, they have to do this, they have to do that, and that is not at all what the Collision guys are doing.
No,
which is in a way it's refreshing.
Yeah, I don't think that.
I do kind of want to hear, Ian Riccaboni screamed, "The big dog Roman Reigns" 46 times though in one sentence.
I'm good. No, I don't need to see that.
I
don't imagine
pass.
that. I don't imagine the commentary team, either one of them, is produced at all, except for maybe like, hey, maybe you should mention the pay-per-view. Hey, maybe like we're going.
I think they have
that
talking
kind of
points. I think they have shit they have to do, and
Yeah.
like when they have to do like sponsors and shit. And I think the highlight for me has always been Excalibur talks at the end about everything that's happening,
Holy
everything on every other show, and he just starts. Just
It was
motor mouth
at like 30 seconds.
Micro Machine Man's that shit out, and it is awesome.
My favorite part always is when that happens. For like 2 or 3 months, he would finish, and Tony Schiavone would be like, "Good God, man, you're amazing." I love Schiavone. Like,
Yeah.
I think that's probably the thing I love most about Tony Schiavone is when he geeks out about the product, because he does that so often.
I think Tony got real bitter at wrestling.
Yeah.
I imagine I would.
Out, for sure, he was. Like I listened, during shutdown when I was just doing the overnight property security shit. Like I started listening to his show with Conrad, and I only made it through their early ones, but like he was so bitter and burnt out on all that shit and everything, and he talked about how like it really took a lot of work and talks and everything from Conrad to actually convince him to do that, because he was fine with wrestling not being a part of his life anymore.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
he
was cool
started.
with that.
I mean, he started that in the mid '80s, and like he went to WWF in '88, and they had
For
that's
a cup of coffee.
If you ever want to laugh your ass off, I believe it's Royal Rumble '88, maybe '89.
Okay.
One of them. He does commentary with Jesse Ventura. It is god awful. It is the worst. It is so fucking it's so fucking bad because those two just didn't click.
I'm
but, like,
picturing Jesse just kind of running him over.
Yeah, that's
and
pretty
not
much what
letting him
happened.
talk almost.
Yeah, and then it was just not a good. And Tony doesn't make a really good, like, ass kissing WWE babyface, if that makes sense. Like, he's a little more.
No, absolutely.
He's got a different style than that, and that was part of GR's problem when he first got there. Is their announcers were always so fucking dumb. Like 80s Vince McMahon on commentary is just like 1, 2, 3, he got him. Oh no, he didn't. Like that bullshit. It's just like, but Tony was in that business for so long, and he almost when Bischoff got president at WCW, Tony Schiavone was supposed to get it, but Bischoff like swooped in and got it from him. So like I think that made him bitter, and then all that shit. I'm just glad he's back and he's having fun. Like he's legitimately having fun, which is fucking awesome to see, because he does not get the credit for as good announcer as he was. Because he was a good announcer. When you're announcing shit and you're getting fed shit and you have to say shit, there's not a whole lot you can fucking do.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
when you started talking about Schiavone, I was reminded of the former WWE announcer who now works at Trader Joe's, who's finally happy. Like he's a manager at Trader Joe's. Tony Kimmel.
Oh, okay.
Or Tony Chimmel, as I announced him. I just think, like, how shitty of a work environment does WWE have to be that you go to Trader Joe's and you're like, oh shit, you can like enjoy your job? I didn't fucking know this. Like,
well, look what they did. Look what they did
to work and not hate yourself all day.
Right?
Look what they fucking did. Look what they fucking did to Lillian Garcia. They treated her like shit off screen, on screen. I mean, fuck.
Oh my god. Yeah, the women in WWE, like, for as shitty a time as certain men in WWE get, the women have it 100 times worse. And it's probably better now, but still.
Yeah, I think it's better now because that shit would come out on social media and they'd be in a lot of trouble. Well, they have that new announcer now. I don't know who she is. Kayla Braxton?
I like her. She good.
I always see, like, reels of her on YouTube announcing it. Everyone's so excited. She's the greatest announcer that ever lived. I'm like, nah, okay.
I think she's awesome. Greatest? But like...
Howard Finkel
Yeah,
would like to... Howard Finkel would like to have a conversation with you.
Yeah, Howard would like a word.
Howard Finkel's last time announcing, he came down to the ring, and that I don't know which WrestleMania it was. They couldn't get him out of the fucking ring because he was so big.
Oh,
he couldn't get out of they took him like 5 minutes to get him out of the ring. Then they had to use a wheelchair to get him to the back because he was so tired. It's just like, oh, poor Howard. Howard was a good announcer though. I believe he sang the Star Spangled Banner at WrestleMania 1.
Okay.
I think
you're right. Yeah,
well, there was some sort of booking thing, or somebody couldn't make it at the last second or some shit, and then they had Fink do it.
Go Fink, go sing it. I don't know the words. Have either of you watched any more Dark Side of the Ring?
0%.
No, I'm a bit behind on that.
I watched
I think I'm still a season or two behind.
I watched the Bam Bam Bigelow one. That was interesting. I didn't realize how fucked up his life was. But I'm patiently waiting for the Marty Jannetty one.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I don't know, like, if he was always insane or if he just took so many drugs and now he can't think like a fucking proper sentence. He's like, he went online and killed a guy. It's like, wait, what? He tried to touch me. I murdered him and threw him in the river. And the cops are like, whoa, time out, buddy. What did you just say? So they investigated it.
Can we have a conversation?
The police are like, pretty sure that didn't happen. Just like, what the fuck, Marty?
Touching your shit on Facebook.
Oh, good lord. Yeah, I catch a clip of him every once in a while.
He figured the statute of limitations was up.
There is none on murder. Just Marty, don't forget that.
I know, but Marty.
He also had a post about his daughter that was like really fucking.
He had a lot of those posts.
Really inappropriate.
His stepdaughter or whatever. Yeah. No, that shit got fucking creepy and dark.
Quick. That will be possibly the greatest
like
episode of the Dark Side of the Ring.
Like, if you can give Leon the fucking heebie-jeebies, you need to examine yourself.
Yeah, Marty is.
That's the test.
God.
Marty's a rough one. That'll be probably the greatest Dark Side of the Ring ever, I think. Because
I assume they have like one on Warrior.
Yep.
Yeah.
Wasn't that good?
Really?
Yeah, it didn't have that much dirt. I think they talked to his ex-wife. They talked about what a piece of shit he was. That was about it. Some of them are just depressing. Like the Adrian Adonis one was just depressing. That was just fucking. You watch that, and you're just like, holy fuck. Here's this guy that got out of shape, and Vince McMahon did all this shit to him and like ruined his confidence, and then he finally gets it back together, and he's starting to like. He lost some weight. He's getting in shape. His in-ring work's picking up. He's ready to make another run. And he's like 35. And then he just fucking dies because they didn't want to hit a moose in Canada. They crashed into some Lord. Like it was just like, oh my god, that's so fucking depressing. And he was on drugs and he was a little addicted, but he like wasn't a bad guy. Mm-hmm. I don't know. Those guys from the 80s that we looked up to, you hear about them now, and it's just like. Holy fuck. They're lucky they made it 2 months living the way they were fucking living.
Yeah.
Industry fucking shoot, motherfuckers.
Bam Bam. I guess when he died, he needed multiple surgeries and shit, and he was just a fucking mess. Couldn't function. Candido, kind of the same thing with Chris Candido. He broke his fucking leg and then decided to fly, which you're not supposed to do. After having surgery because it creates blood clots. He had a blood clot, died. It's just like, holy fuck. And he was starting to get his shit together. Sunny, not so much. She's still... Well, she's going to go to prison. Because she killed somebody drunk and driving.
Yeah, so, I mean, there is...
I don't think that's like her 5th or 6th DWI. So I don't think she's getting out of that. My thought, but maybe I'm wrong.
Also kind of a shitty person. from my understanding.
The more I hear about her, yeah, I think she just is.
Yeah.
Yeah.
My favorite part of I heard a shoot interview with her once on Shawn Michaels, and she was so pissed at Shawn Michaels, and she's like, "That fucking asshole, da 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 da, he left me, blah blah blah," and it sounded more like she left him because she didn't want to do something, but she's like, "That house they have in Texas that he's living in with his wife, I designed that kitchen. That should be my house." Just like,
What?
what the fuck?
It's not really how it works.
That was her concern. So I don't know. She was rough.
She was something.
rough. She was rough.
You were talking about Kayla Braxton a minute ago.
Yes, go ahead.
The person I thought you were talking about was Samantha Irvin. She's awesome.
Is that the one on? She must be the one I'm thinking of.
Possible. Did she go by something else before?
I don't know. I don't know them. Samantha.
Well, she's she's a singer in a death metal band, and she was like doing these really shitty.
No, that's her. That's her.
Okay.
That's her. That's
Yeah.
her. That's the one. That's the one.
Okay.
Yeah, that's her.
Okay.
Yeah, she does some. They post shit from her all the time on that, and they make a big deal about it. It's like, okay, cool.
She's like the one that does like the Imperium entrances and everything,
Yes.
right?
Yes,
That people
yes.
freak out about. Yeah.
Yeah. I prefer the Yapper Dapper.
He's our guy now.
The
My
fact that they
favorite.
got him was oh god. I
My
love
favorite Justin Roberts moment is at Blood and Guts. They like had a close up of him, and he's like, his face is all contorted and angry when he's talking about Blood and Guts, and then he finishes the whole intro, and then he just puts on a big smile. I'm like, that's the creepiest fucking thing I have ever seen. Well done, buddy.
I just like it when they have a match like that, and he just goes, "Shit's about to get crazy." I just love that.
It's about to hit the fan.
Yeah.
It was one of the Blood and Guts. He's like, shit's about to hit the fan, folks.
I also like the time that Brian took his belt to whip somebody.
Yeah.
In relation to when he choked him out and got fired.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Was it his belt or his tie? I can't remember which one it was, but he took that from him.
Tie.
He took it from him. Yeah, it was his tie. That's what it was. He took his tie and he choked somebody. Justin Roberts like, whoa, not again.
Long-term storytelling. That was another good get. AEW has some amazing gets. They have some.
They do.
They have some like falters, but like overall, they have a really. Tony has a really good eye for the.
They need to do
talent.
something with Miro.
Yeah. It seems like they're going to, because they just had Aaron Solo attack him, or who I think is Aaron Solo. We never saw his face.
Yeah,
No
Miro.
Solo.
Miro needs to do something. Yeah, they do pretty well usually.
Yeah.
They do pretty well. For a while there, they'd get somebody new from the E, and then they wouldn't have. They'd bring him in for a quick feud, and then they wouldn't know what to do with him because they'd have so many other things going on.
Mm-hmm.
That kind of happened to Malachi. That kind of happened to
Like 80% of the women's division. Ruby Soho,
Yeah.
Athena,
It's interesting.
Paige, even to some extent.
I'm curious to see what they do with the second world title,
Yeah.
because my thought process is you have Punk walk around with that for a while and defend it, and then eventually you have Punk MJF fight for that belt.
Yeah. I
And the
think
unify.
that's
right.
I think well,
that has to
that's
be.
essentially what they were gonna do with after Money in the Bank, wasn't it? But then they shot their
Yeah.
load within like a month and brought him back, and they were just like, okay, well, you're not the champion anymore.
Could you imagine if they would have let Punk go to like ROH and defend and like go some places and actually have that?
Mm-hmm.
Like that would have been even bigger when he came back.
Mm-hmm.
That would have been even bigger.
But no,
But no,
Vince
got
can't
to
have
streamline
that.
everything quick. They can't tell long-term storylines unless it's Roman and the Bloodline.
There's a difference between long-term booking and booking for too long. Like, okay, Roman's going to win the title, and then, hear me out, he's going to lose it in 7,000 days. Okay, what are we going to do for 7,000? I don't fucking care. Just feed him people. I don't, whatever.
I fucking beat everybody. I got an ideal.
Leon, what
on me.
if they paid you like $25,000 to come in for a night, take a Superman punch, and get pinned? Would you do it?
Okay.
He'd do it.
I like money. I need money. Sure.
Tell me about it.
Sure.
If you want to call any of us, give us a call, Vince. We'll take a Superman punch to the face. Or Tony. I'll take one from Orange, too. I don't even care.
To be like a religious experience for me. Orange Cassidy punched me. I can no longer wash my face.
Go out there and do the I forget which character he was that night, but the Rainbow's no sell of my lariat, and then do the Goldberg impression.
I was behind that, just for the record. I told him to do that because I thought it'd be funny.
Yeah, I know you were, you son of a bitch.
Leon didn't know what to do. He's still like, what? And he laughed.
I think that was Pain. That sounds like a Pain thing.
No, that was
That Nemo?
Nero. I was Nemo. Nemo was the cool one. Nero was the weird one that wore fishing net. Nemo wore a fucking Hawaiian shirt and was a total fucking lackey from Shockwave. He was such a dork.
Which worked out.
That was Chet Danielson. Chetty Bang Bang.
Yep.
We ad-libbed all that. I think when you ad-lib shit, as long as you know where you're going, like everybody understands the direction, I think it's better.
Absolutely. Yeah.
Because I think you get to play and you kind of get to put your own personality and spin on it.
I mean, I think that's why AEW is doing so well. Because they don't script most of that. Like, sure, that
I think some shit they produce, because I think sometimes they have to produce it.
Yeah.
But like Britt Baker was getting heavily produced and then they turned her heel and she didn't get produced. World's better. The other thing that I read is that Jade Cargill might be done.
Yeah, which is insane.
Intriguing. I don't know what to do with that.
It's strange because it's like you spent all that time building her and like she loses and then she's like, what the fuck? You would think that.
I mean, they probably listen to the podcast and they're like, oh shit, we should get rid of her. Town and Leon and Bud don't like her.
No, I don't. They want her back. I think she wants to be done.
I could see that. That would make sense. That makes more sense to me. Because, like, why not?
I don't know.
Get your money and then go.
Yeah. I don't know.
Maybe she leaves for a while and then comes back. Or maybe she doesn't. Like, either way is fine. I think
if she just wants to post thirst traps on fucking Instagram, I'm okay with that.
Calm down, Leon.
I mean, he's not wrong.
Yeah, I just I don't know. That was a lot of investment put into her, but I guess whatever.
It's her life. Like, I get that, and I also know that Tony Khan will be cool with it. Like, if that's what she decides to do, Tony Khan will be like, go. Like,
do you think that she would go to the E and they would use her better? I think her style is way more suited to the E.
Yeah. She's more sports entertainer.
Yeah, absolutely.
Would they use her
Maybe
better? I don't think so.
I don't know about use better.
Yeah.
But I think she could go there and, she could be a star there too.
Yeah, but
she has that look and she has that charisma, that star power thing.
Conversely, she
love
has
that shit.
Conversely, she has a family and she has a kid, and like she would be on the road way more than she would be with AEW.
It's another reason I could see the Young Bucks and Omega not wanting to go to the E. Too much of that.
Then again, like wrestling is wrestling, especially if they're doing house shows. Like, they can wrestle whoever the fuck they want and do whatever they want.
Not at an E house show. Those are pretty controlled environments, because if you fuck up there, Vince finds out, you get in trouble.
Yeah.
Ask Chris Jericho. He got in trouble a few times.
Yes, but I think that I think you wind up with a lot of, I don't know. speaking on a subject I know less than nothing about. Because I don't give a shit
like
about the E.
Claim,
I know. Because I did the research that this would be. I don't know. I don't even know what I'm saying.
She didn't do any
did my own
research.
research.
She did no research.
I Googled.
No. Alta Vista.
What are you gonna title this episode?
I don't know.
Bitching Town's complaints. Town hates Cody.
Listen, as we all bitch about various aspects of WWE.
It's so annoying.
Yeah.
They're so annoying.
We gotta get this shit out every once in a while. That's just how it is.
We do.
We talk about AEW, and you can only swoon for a company so much. Every once in a while, you just have to vent about the shitty company so that you appreciate the good company even better.
The shitty company.
I think Ben Franklin said
it's
that.
got everything, but yeah. But you need to do the outro
Yeah,
because it's like 11 o'clock.
It
Holy
really
shit.
fucking is. After an hour and 41 minutes of talking about pretty much everything, Samantha Irvin including, we're going to be done. Hi, I have been Bud. This has been Leon. This has been Town. We have been the Brood, and we have been talking your ear off. Goodbye.
Oh, shit. Knock my mic over.